You are now listening to the smooth, mellifluous sounds of Red's Room Podcast. Enjoy.
Welcome to episode number 39 of the Red's Room Podcast. I'm your host, Red.
And I'm your co-host, Jake.
And today we are talking about the movie Eyes Wide Shut. As always, our references are in the episode description, so check those out. So, Eyes Wide Shut. Gonna read a little paragraph here, let you guys know about it and why we're talking about a movie today. Here we go. Eyes Wide Shut came out in 1999. It's Stanley Kubrick's final film, released only a few months after his death, based on Arthur Schnitzler's 1926 novella Traum Novelle, which means dream story.
Okay.
It became yet another controversial entry in Kubrick's works. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, who were then married in real life, in the movie play a couple in New York whose marriage is tested by a sequence of intense, erotically charged encounters with others. The film's highly sexualized content became a subject of debate when Warner Brothers elected to digitally alter several of the more sexually explicit images in post-production. And this is after Kubrick died.
Yes.
They said they did this to avoid an NC-17 rating, which the studio believed would have harmed the film's commercial prospects. Notwithstanding those changes, the film performed poorly at the box office. I think they might have done better with an NC-17 rating.
You know, possibly.
Might have attracted more people.
I do get what they're coming from, though, because it's tough getting, movies can be a family thing a lot of the time. And, I guess I'm kind of with you there. You might as well make it NC-17 because this is not a family
It's
movie.
not a family movie at all.
Not
There's a lot
at
of
all.
nudity in it.
Tons of nudity.
Especially for the time.
No, yeah, a lot of boobies and a lot of ass in this movie.
Yeah, but there are some conspiracies revolving around what did they take out of the movie.
Yeah, definitely that. And it is pretty crazy to me that this is a Tom Cruise movie, too. This is like, it's kind of, especially, the Scientology background and stuff.
Right. I wonder if he was in Scientology
I
at the
don't-
time.
yeah, I don't
should have
know
looked that up.
Yeah, I don't know if he was a Scientologist at the time either. If you go on, I'm going to Google that real quick, actually.
Yeah, check that out. So, I'm going to give you guys a little background on Kubrick. I wanted to start with that. Off the wiki, I got a little bit about him, just to give some background.
Yeah.
So Stanley Kubrick was born in July 26, 1928, and died March 7th, 1999, was an American filmmaker and photographer. Widely considered one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, his films were nearly all adaptations of novels or short stories, spanning a number of genres in gaining recognition for their intense attention to detail, innovative cinematography, extensive set design, and dark humor. A perfectionist who assumed direct control over most aspects of his filmmaking, Kubrick cultivated an expertise in writing, editing, color grading, promotion, and exhibition. He was famous for the painstaking care taken in researching his films and staging scenes, performed in close coordination with his actors, crew, and other collaborators. He frequently asked for several dozen retakes of the same shot in a movie, often confusing and frustrating his actors. Despite the notoriety this provoked, many of Kubrick's films broke new cinematic ground and are now considered landmarks. The scientific realism and innovative special effects in his science fiction epic 2001: A Space Odyssey, which came out in 1968, was a first in cinema history, and the film earned him his only Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. Filmmaker Steven Spielberg has referred to 2001 as his generation's Big Bang, and it is regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. While many of Kubrick's films were controversial and initially received mixed reviews upon release, particularly the brutal A Clockwork Orange, which came out in 1971, which Kubrick pulled from circulation in the UK following a media frenzy. Most were nominated for Academy Awards, Golden Globes, or BAFTA Awards, and underwent critical re-evaluations. For the 18th century period film Barry Lyndon, which came out in 1975, Kubrick obtained lenses developed by Carl Zeiss for NASA to film scenes by candlelight. When the horror film The Shining, which came out in the 80s, he became one of the first directors to make use of a steady cam for stabilized and fluid tracking shots, a technology vital to his Vietnam War film Full Metal Jacket, which came out in 1987. A few days after hosting a screening for his family and the stars of his final film, the erotic drama Eyes Wide Shut, he died from a heart attack at the age of 70. So in a nutshell, that's Stanley Kubrick. But there is a lot to know about this guy.
Dude, he's made some bangers. 01 Space Odyssey, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, Eyes Wide Shut.
Clockwork Orange. Man, they're all awesome.
He really doesn't miss when it comes to that. And also, I did look it up. Tom Cruise became a Scientologist according to Google in 1986. So he had been a Scientologist in what? This came out in 99, I believe.
Yeah, so he definitely was.
So he was definitely a Scientologist. But yeah, Kubrick he's a fucking amazing director.
He is a
producer.
Legend. Often considered
one of the greats.
One of, if not the greatest. So
he's made some bangers for sure.
Yeah, and that really goes into a lot about what we're going to get into in the movie, is that he meticulously designed the way this movie is put together.
Yeah.
Every scene, every set, every shot, the pictures in the background, the colors, everything.
Meticulous.
He meticulously picked all this stuff on purpose.
And you're a big set building guy too, so I definitely gotta big respect to him, because it takes time. And I guess you were saying before too how he seemed like more of a perfectionist too, like how you were saying he there was a lot of reshoots, retakes, do this again. Man wanted to create a good product, and I would say with this film that we're covering, Eyes Wide Shut, he was definitely successful with that, even though he unfortunately passed away before the film released.
And even though it didn't perform well in the box office, which it has a huge cult following.
I feel like it's kind of resurfaced more, and
I think it was kind of before its time.
I was just gonna say that I can kind of understand why it didn't hit in the box office. This is a weird, it's a good film, but it is weird, man. There's some weird shit going on here, and fuck, man. Yeah. Definitely fertility cult vibes I got from this movie. Are we gonna summarize the movie a little bit? You got a section?
I was gonna let you summarize it a little if you want to.
Okay.
I didn't summarize it because I couldn't figure out how to do that without it taking forever. But
okay, I'll try to keep this short for y'all. If y'all haven't seen the film, I watched half the film with Red a while back, and we didn't finish it. Last night, I went and I rewatched the whole thing, rewatched the first half, finished it. The movie starts with Tom Cruise's character Bill and his wife Alice getting invited to a party held by a mainstay character named Ziegler in the film. They're at this party, some weird, they're just getting down, people are having drinks, champagne, there's live music. Alice kind of has this thing with another character named Sandor, which is kind of important later. He's an older guy who, let's be honest, kind of wants
to fuck her.
He wants, that's why, he wants to fuck Alice. They have a little dance together. And to be fair to Alice, she kind of stays loyal, and she's like, I have a husband.
Yeah, but she definitely entertains him and kind of has fun. It seems like teasing him and just the attention.
She definitely teases him. Tom Cruise, his character named Bill. Bill gets stopped by these two ladies who definitely want him. He kind of pushes him away because Ziegler pulls up, and he's having an issue. Ziegler's having an issue. He's like, Bill, I need your help. Bill walks up. There is what we presume to be a hooker or a lady there.
It's like OD.
That Ziegler seemed to have his fun with and is drugged out. Supposedly, she took speedball, like a heroin and coke mixture, and she is fucked up. Bill being the backstory to Bill, he's a doctor, by the way, so that's why he called him in there.
Which he says it in like
everyone
he meets. He's like,
that is true.
I'm a doctor to like establish his dom.
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
kind of is.
It's comical.
Yeah, so Bill gets up there. He ends up coming to the conclusion that she is going to be okay, but she got lucky. So regardless of that, they come back down, and this is kind of like the planting the seed of the start of the story. Bill comes back down, and the people playing live music, the pianist, his name is Nick Nightingale, which I thought that was a fucking dope name.
Pretty cool.
And Bill and Nick have some backstory there. They went to medical school together, and Nick ended up dropping out and becoming a musician. He plays the piano, and Bill pursued his career as a doctor. So they're kind of chopping it up. Fucking Bill, just catching up, and Nick tells him that he has this crazy gig going on to where he's playing the piano for these guys, but he has to play the piano blindfolded. And Bill is like, you can't be serious, man. What the fuck are you talking about? Bill is obviously very interested here.
Right.
But that's kind of planting the seed. Then they stop talking. They're like, Nick's like, hey, Bill, come. I'm playing down here at this bar. Come and meet me tomorrow or whenever. Come and stop by. So there's kind of some relationship issues going on between Bill and Alice. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie is they smoke weed together. Tom Cruise getting baked.
Alice totally is fucking baiting Bill in a conversation and dominating him.
Yeah.
And he's just like so naive that he doesn't realize what's going on with her and doesn't seem to realize that women have sexual fantasies too. She says that she had a fantasy about fucking some sailor she saw once, and just like, she's pretty fucking mean to Bill in the scene, I gotta say.
It's a tough scene for Bill.
He's just a nice, naive guy, and then she's totally just manipulating him, and but yeah, ends with like crushing him. Yeah. Now he's like, my wife's fantasized about fucking other dudes.
There's a scene after that where he's in like a taxi, he's in a cab, and he's like having like a vision of her fucking. Exactly. So I might be skipping a few things, but as far as what happens after that is Bill, he goes to the bar where Nick is playing and meets with Nick. They kind of chop it up for a minute, and they talk a little bit more about so what really happens is Nick, they're chopping it up, and Nick gets a phone call from, we don't know at the time, but it's from the guy running the cult that he needs to come and play. Gets the address, and he gets the password. He writes down the password, and Bill is very intrigued by what is going on there. So Bill's like, "Yo, tell me the address. Tell me the address. No one's gonna know that you told me." So he gets the address. He goes to a costume store. It's like past midnight. It's closed. Bill, being the doctor and having the bread that he has, pays like $200 extra to get a costume. He needs a cloak, a mask, and a tux.
And like a masquerade mask.
Exactly, definitely masquerade mask. And
this is like one of those weird fucking Bilderberg parties like the Clintons go to.
Yeah, exactly.
The Rothschilds have.
Definitely Rothschilds vibes. So he secures the goods. He goes to the address. Cab drops him off. He goes to the gate and he tells them the password. I thought it was a dope password. Fidelio is the password. So he gets the password. He gets into the party and witnesses this ritual. Like,
first there's an orgy going on in this mansion, and then he gets to this, then he gets to this crazy fucking satanic ritual.
It has some satanic vibes, and definitely
there's a pentagram on the floor. They're playing this ominous song with like backwards Latin.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely fertility cult vibes as well, where there's a circle and there's the mainstay. Like, it seems like the leader of the cult, people call him Red Cloak because everyone's dressed in black cloaks and he has a red cloak. Pretty self-explanatory, but he has like a staff and like a thing of incense.
Which everyone's in masks. You don't know who's who.
everyone's in masks, and they're doing this ritual, and there's a circle of ladies around the red cloak. He's hitting his staff on the ground, and a certain point, the ladies rip off their cloaks, and they're just fucking naked,
with masks on.
With masks on, and he sends them off one by one, and one of the ladies that gets sent off grabs. I guess they all grab a guy. I don't know if there's a certain guy or they just grab a random one. One of these ladies grabs Tom Cruise. And we'll learn later that the lady who grabs Tom Cruise, Bill, he knew before, but brings him there, and the lady's like, yo, I know that you're not a mainstay here. You should go. You should fucking go now. And fucking Bill's like, no, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Fucking
tries to act like he belongs.
Yeah, tries to act like he belongs. And nothing really comes of that, but other than they plant the seed there of, yo, some weird shit's going on. Fuck, I'm trying to remember what happens next. Okay, so I'm probably missing a couple things here, but just we're summarizing this a little quicker. They end up questioning that Bill, that they know that Bill is not a mainstay here.
Yeah, they single him out.
They
ask for a second password from him.
Yeah, they ask. They go, "What's the password?" He goes, "Fidelio," and they're like, "Okay, that's the gate password." And they go, "Okay, what's the second password?" He goes, "I forgot. I don't know." And it turns out that there actually wasn't a second password, so they got him there. But they're like, "Yo, like, you're gonna need to face some consequences." Now the turning point is the lady who picked him and who knew that he wasn't there. She's like, "Yo, leave him alone. I will be responsible for his wrongdoing."
Yeah.
And basically, they kill her for it.
Yeah, it's not said.
It's not said. They say that she overdoses.
Later on, she overdoses, but it's implied that if you fuck with them, you die of an overdose.
You die. Something. It gets cut.
You get suicided.
Exactly.
You get Clintoned.
Dude, totally Clinton.
Yeah, you get Clinton. So
fucking. So Tom Cruise leaves. He's fucking sketched. And he actually goes back to the gates again. He goes back to the gates of the facility,
he goes back to there.
and they pull up in a car and give him a note. Yeah, they give him a note, and it's like 2 paragraphs, and it says like, "This is your second warning. I hope this is fucking sufficient enough for you to not come back."
Yeah.
So some other stuff. The movie goes on a little more, and Nick Nightingale, he gets taken from his hotel room, and Tom Cruise, he goes to see him. Nick isn't there anymore, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Apparently he had, who knows what they did with Nick. It's not explained what happened to Nick, but they talk about that he had a bruise on his face. So I'm assuming they fucked him up a little bit. I don't know if they were just scaring him, like, yo, don't do this again. Or if blah, blah, blah.
Or if he eventually disappears.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Yeah, or if he disappears. Fucking Tom Cruise eventually, Bill, he has a meeting. He goes to Ziegler again. And one of the big twists of the movie is that Ziegler was actually there the whole time. The dude that held the party at the beginning.
He's like, he's like, "Bill, yeah. What the fuck were you doing?
What the fuck were you doing, man?" He's like, "I knew you were there." And Tom's like, "What are you talking about?" He's trying to play the dumb card. And Ziegler was like, "I was there. I saw you get demasked. I saw you were there."
Now in this scene, there's a lot of cues that make it seem like Ziegler is Red Cloak.
Definitely.
Even though they're played by 2 different actors, it seems like
the taps, right?
Yeah, the way their body language, the rooms that they're in, the way they're moving, it seems like they're implying that they're the same person. And that's the thing about this movie. There's a lot of hidden clues in there to like find, and
you got to decipher it for yourself, type shit.
It's also said, it's based on the novella that's called a Dream Story. It's also said that possibly when he went to the mansion could have been an entire dream sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to know. It's got there's these weird parts of the movie that seem like they could be reality, could be dreams, and that's just part of the way they kind of mess with you.
Mm-hmm. I think that's definitely what's his name, Kubrick.
Kubrick.
That was probably something he was going for there, and So they kind of have like
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe he picked a different actor to do Red Click too to throw you off.
To throw you off.
To
Yeah.
make it harder for you to realize.
and
that
I
they're
kind of
the
like
same
that he
person.
did that. Um,
Yeah.
So they have this conversation, Bill and Ziegler. Ziegler kind of calls him out, and something I missed out on before is I was telling you how that prostitute, her name is Mandy, who was in the cult, who kind of warned Tom Cruise, like, you need to leave. She dies, and like I said, and Bill goes to the morgue to see her body, and Ziegler basically tells him, like, yo, she OD'd, she was dead anyway. Like,
Right.
kind of pushing it aside when someone fucking died.
I think he's also kind of implying, like, leave it alone.
Yeah, definitely. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you got away with this. You got away with enough. Like, what's done is done. Leave us the fuck alone.
So if we didn't explain it well, she was the one at the party who said she would take Tom Cruise's punishment, right?
Yeah, she was the one at the party who said she would take, and she was the one at the beginning.
She ODs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She ODs, and she was the one who saved Tom by saying, I will take his punishment for him, essentially. So Tom is, after this meeting is done, fucking, I keep saying Tom, his character Bill, but Tom Cruise's character, he is fucking distraught. He goes back home. He spills the beans to his wife. He's like crying his eyes out. And honestly, shout out. I mean, Tom Cruise is a great actor. He kills it in this scene.
Well, actually, when he walks in too, she's sleeping in the bed, laying next to his mask. So he walks in seeing that, and then he
starts fucking crying.
Crumbles.
He fucking crumbles and tells her fucking everything. And kind of the way the movie ends, they take their daughter Christmas shopping. It's an interesting ending, man.
Yeah, I wrote this down.
Okay, this is perfect right here.
The film ends with these last words uttered by Kidman's character, Alice, talking to Bill. She says, I do love you, and you know there is something very, very important we need to do as soon as possible. Bill says, what's that? She replies, fuck.
It's back to
That's
the
how it
whole fertility, the whole fucking...
Sexuality has a lot to do with the movie.
It is a huge part of the movie. And
to me, though, I think that's the obvious shallow part of the movie. I think there's deeper hidden things in there.
There's definitely some orgy shit and some fertility cult shit. And
right. Obviously, that was as quick of a summary. Good job.
I tried. I feel like it was necessary to summarize the movie for people who haven't seen it.
There's a lot more details.
I definitely skimmed through it, but that was like a 10-minute little summary for y'all if it's been a while or if you haven't seen it.
I have a few paragraphs here on it I'm going to read. Sorry if I reiterate anything, but I try to just pick some things with some cool details that I got from another site that's it's linked, of course.
Of course, it's linked below.
First one. Okay. Eyes Wide Shut is based on Arthur Schnitzler's 1926 novella, Traum Novelle, which we said, which closely aligns with Kubrick's vision. He actually kept it very close to the story is very, very close. One notable difference, though, lies in the character of Ziegler, played by Sidney Pollack in the film. Ziegler, meaning bricklayer, derived from the word Ziegel, is implying that he could be a Freemason. Or if you want to explore more conspiratorial routes, it could also be derived from the German word Ziege, which means goat. You can imagine that's right now we're getting satanic vibes.
Some Baphomet shit.
And he could have implied both on purpose.
Mm-hmm. I can see it.
The main characters, Bill and Alice, are portrayed by Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, she said. Some argue that Kubrick specifically chose them to deliberately break them up. He originally desired Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger, who were also married at the time. So if he didn't want to break them up, at the very least, to toy with Cruise. Kubrick teasingly claimed he could make Cruise a big star with this film. Kubrick seems to take immense delight in subverting Cruise's virile man of action image, because he does the opposite. His character Bill is almost pathologically passive, unable to acknowledge, let alone explore, his sexuality. He's also cringe-inducingly, how's that word? Bourgeois? I never know how to
Bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
That's how I would say it.
Introducing himself as a doctor to everyone he meets, which he does. He comically introduces himself as a doctor.
Yeah, he does. He pulls out his wallet and fucking shows his card. It's like, dude, you ain't a fucking sheriff, man.
Yeah.
Where's your badge?
It does help him out, though.
It does, yeah.
But yeah, he does it as if this automatically grants him moral authority in any situation. And the film is punctuated by moments of unexplored absurdity. A grieving daughter confesses her undying love for Bill in one scene, despite barely knowing him.
I did miss that section a little bit. To expand on that a tad bit, Bill was caring for that lady's father, and he passed away, and he pulls up after he dies and is just trying to comfort her a little bit, and she basically wants to get with him and fuck him. Like, she's
blatantly just saying
blatantly grabs him by the head, and they make out for a little
to.
bit. And to be fair, Tom Cruise's character, Bill, he's a little, I guess you would say, how were you describing it before?
Pathologically passive?
Exactly, passive. But in this scene, he does show himself a little bit. He's like, yo, you're grieving right now. Fucking chill out. I know this is not you right now, but in reality, she wants him. Like, really fucking bad.
It seemed to me like that was kind of playing on we talked about early on, him and Alice had an argument that she was totally
dating when they got stoned.
And in the argument, she's like, you don't want to fuck any of those women when you're feeling their tits in your office? And he's like, no, I'm totally... She's like, you don't think any of them are fantasizing about fucking you? And he's just like, no, of course not. Women don't think like that. And then he gets into this spot, and this woman who he was the doctor... Yeah, it's just like... Seems like it's just kind of just to show that is totally true.
It sucks for Bill's character, too, because I do believe him. Like, he does it. Like, he does seem like he's in a devoted marriage, you know?
Yeah, he does, but it also
But there is some shit at the end, too.
He's totally denying that he has urges sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just...
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle, I guess. Good point.
Yeah, like, it's like, yeah, don't act on them, but you can admit that that's human, right? Let's see. The orgy sequence is entrancingly sinister at first, collapses into florid melodrama as soon as the menacing masked figures begin to speak. It's just weird how throughout the movie, Tom tries to have sex a couple times, and it always falls apart.
There is a moment where he's going to grab a hooker. He gets in there, and actually, I have a little bit more to expand on this, too. This is kind of the midway point of the movie. The hooker, he goes to the apartment. They're just sitting down. She offers him a drink. Then he's like, he gets a call from his wife. And then he goes back to the hooker. He's like, man, I shouldn't do this. He pays her anyway, the full price, like a G. He pays her and then leaves. And that was a good move on him.
Yeah, because he comes back later.
She tests positive for HIV.
Yeah.
Like the next day.
Yeah,
So he fucking dodged a bullet there. Good on Bill there for not acting on his urges.
No doubt. Yeah, agreed. Eyes Wide Shut may be the film with the most unanswered questions in Kubrick's entire career. For one, what is the film about? Is it an erotic thriller? Is it a harsh critique of modern relationships? Is it a conspiracy film? Kubrick's confession to being involved with shadowy figures.
I feel like it's almost all of those things.
It mixes so many things in there that hard to say.
I feel like I identify more, if you take it face value, I identify with the erotic thriller, but if you dive deep into it, then there's a lot more to unpack there.
Right. I think he chose some themes of sexuality and marriage in there for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But it seems like it's hard to deny that he was not giving you a look into, elites and their sexual, weird, satanic things.
Definitely, and I feel like one thing on a couple articles when I was going through, they used the term of mind-controlled sex slave a lot. And I feel like that is a lot of the women in this cult. They are definitely brainwashed, and they are there to fuck and to obey.
Yeah, you're bringing me into the next section I was going to talk
about. Okay, I'll chill out on that a little bit.
That's a good...
Good
As
segue.
Bro, you mind giving me a refill?
I'll get you.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, and chime in on this one. I got several spots to go, different conspiracies around the film to go through. So, the reason the film is called Eyes Wide Shut, at least according to some, is a blatant reference to Hollywood and the number of people who allegedly know this kind of activity is taking place, yet do not say anything about it. Which now, with like what we know about Harvey Weinstein,
Yeah, I got those kind of vibes for sure.
which I think at the time it came out, people were in denial about, didn't make that connection. But now, going back and looking at it, you're like, oh,
It's all there.
totally makes sense. The movie suggests that those on the inside of these secret societies control anything and everything, from the police to the media. And because of this, anyone who presents problems or becomes of no further use can be made to disappear with no questions asked.
Totally, dude. What a bar.
Almost any of the conspiracies that surround the Illuminati can be found in Eyes Wide Shut, leading many to question just how real these claims might be. Thanks, man.
Clink me.
For sure. Salute. So, yeah, if you're big on Illuminati conspiracies, like I said,
There's
like,
connections there.
that sex party they went to,
Dude.
it has Bilderberg vibes, those
Rothschilds.
weird Rothschild vibes, those weird fucking masquerade parties the fucking Clintons and elites go to,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck you call those things. It's like,
There's a ton of shit. And there's masonry vibes throughout the movie, like how you touched on before.
yeah,
He definitely he checks every box. And you know, I was talking to Red about this before. I don't love nudity in films sometimes, but the way it was executed and like the purpose of it, I thought it was done very well.
it had to be for the theme of the movie.
And I've said it like 3 fucking times now. I know I'm a broken record, but just total fertility cult vibes going on here. Like, I just go back to our Mushroom and the Cross episode. Like,
Bohemian Grove.
oh, I also saw
those
some shit
weird
about some
fucking
skull
things.
and bone shit too.
Yeah,
But,
Skull and Bones.
Yeah, so he fucking nails everything, and maybe there is some conspiracies about did they kill Kubrick? I don't know. There's no evidence, but it definitely makes you think.
It makes you wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Another popular conspiracy around Kubrick is, like you just said, is that elite members of Hollywood had arranged to have him, the world-famous director, killed because of the film. The most popular claim is that a heart attack was intentionally induced in Kubrick. There is, however, no evidence to support these claims. He also was 70, pretty unhealthy. I think he smoked tons of cigarettes and was like going hard, obsessing over making the movies. So, I don't know either way.
I could see it both ways.
I can believe it both ways.
Part of me wants to believe that they killed him, but there's you never know, and there is a good point, like you were saying. He was older, maybe not the healthiest fella.
Right. But again,
Up for speculation.
the idea is that actually, let me read this next paragraph because it has to do with it too. I'll say that.
Okay.
The main conspiracy as to why some people believe Kubrick was murdered revolves around a damage limitation mission ordered by elite financial backers in Hollywood. It is the belief of some that upon seeing Kubrick's film at the first viewing, they decided much of the content had to be cut away. So the idea is that it's well known that 20 minutes of the movie was cut out. The idea is that they murdered him and cut the 20 minutes out and then released it. However, Kubrick himself said he was going to cut at least 20 more minutes out of it just when he had his final draft. And he was known to continually edit movies up until like the very end.
Yeah, I guess to play towards...
To be fair, both ways.
To be fair there, too, when I started up the movie probably a little too late last night. There was a UFC event going on. I started at like close to midnight. And I was like, fuck, dude, the movie's 2 hours.
Late.
I was like, the movie's 2 hours and 40 minutes. fuck.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the movie does not really drag. It stays pretty. You keep going with it, and I really wasn't bored with it watching it. Like it was a good watch.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a great movie. Next one here. The constant references to rainbows throughout the movie. It is claimed by some conspiracy researchers that, I like that term, conspiracy researchers instead of conspiracy theorists. Jake, we're conspiracy researchers.
We're conspiracy researchers.
That rainbows are a reference to MK Ultra
Oh man.
mind control techniques used by high-ranking elite members, and this is particularly the case when this is done to create sex slaves, like you said.
The mind-controlled sex slave.
So they mentioned sex slaves a lot, and rainbows are mentioned throughout the movie a lot, especially like when from the very beginning. I know it's mentioned a couple other times, but I know when the two women in like the first dance scene are trying to go
to cuff
fuck Bill.
Yeah.
They tell like they're like, you want to go where the rainbow ends? And he's like,
oh
what?
yeah,
And
he's like, it depends on where the rainbow ends.
Yeah, they mentioned like, yeah, let's take you where the rainbow ends. And
You're right.
like,
I forgot about that. You're right. They do reference that a couple times.
yeah, and that's a lot of people say that's alluding to that they are mind controlled sex slaves, and it's believed that those two same women were prostitutes used later on at the
They were masked up
at the masquerade party, which makes sense.
It would only make sense. And all the fucking women in this movie are like beautiful. Like they like they chose
Well, this was back in the day before there was any politically correctness. Okay, all the women in the movies were hot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a point to be made there, and there's a lot of eye candy in this movie for sure.
But yeah, for those who are familiar with, we went over MK Ultra, and
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think we might have to revisit that one at some point.
I would totally be down.
We did an overview, but there's always deeper things to go into. But it seems like Kubrick was aware of that.
No, yeah, definitely the idea of, I guess if we are going to connect it to MK Ultra with, dosing people with just large amounts of LSD for days and days and even months in a row. Maybe they were doing something like that in the cult. Did they dose these members with drugs and maybe brainwash them a little bit? It's not shown in the movie, but it makes a lot of sense that that's possibly what happened.
Yes, it does make sense, and it seems to tie into a lot of well-known conspiracies around elites and the sex slaves they have, and now we're getting into Epstein vibes.
I saw, there was an article that I listened that kind of talks about that a little bit. It's just if he did talk about, like, if he like kind of foreshadowed that a little bit, like Kubrick did have that in his mind. Goddamn, that man was fucking ahead of his time, because we're just getting lists 2023, 2024, and this film came out in fucking 99. So
he was in Hollywood and he was connected, and I think they knew more about things. Maybe if they didn't know about Epstein, they definitely knew about Weinstein. They definitely knew that there's a lot of directors.
Kevin Spacey, fucking.
Well, yeah, and back then in Hollywood, I think it was pretty common. It was like, yeah, you gotta fuck the director if you want to get in this movie. Like
it was just kind of how it was. Obviously not for the good. We're not saying that's good, but that's just
it's fucking evil.
That's just how.
I think that's why he ties it to satanic things. Like maybe to them they weren't being satanic, but in Kubrick's film he ties it to satanic rituals. Mm-hmm. Maybe just to make that point more. I would say. No, it's just a thought.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear where you're coming from, man.
Yeah, because I would say, that is satanic. I mean, not that I believe in Satan, whether you do or not, but the idea is
demonic,
evil,
whatever.
Right?
Yeah,
it's exactly to treat someone like that. So, it's pretty mind-blowing. And I did do some research, and it seems like I couldn't find anything to factually say it for sure, but it does seem alluded to that Kubrick was very well versed in Freemasons and in other secret
He
societies.
was educated.
It seems like he liked to go down conspiracy rabbit holes himself. So it makes sense that he would tie him into his movie, right?
Totally, man. He seems like a very smart individual, and how you were saying before, how you like that term, conspiracy researchers. Mans is a truth seeker. He wants to fucking
Truth seeker. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually like that term, truth
yeah,
seeker.
truth seeker.
Yeah, Mom called me that a long time ago.
Did she?
Way before we ever had a podcast, when I used to go down rabbit holes like this, and I was like, I like that.
Yeah, no, that is a good word.
I do
man.
want to know I want to know the truth.
Yeah, I want to know the fucking.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah,
You can't handle the truth.
that's so fucking memed.
A great movie. You got any other things to say on the movie or weird things before I go into this last one? This one's gonna change things a bit.
I have a couple here.
Yeah, let's dive into them.
I have a couple like symbology.
Ooh, I like symbology.
So we're going to start with the twin pillars. I got this from an article that will be linked below. Representing the entrance to the mystical palace, twin pillars are seen at the Temple of Solomon. This shows how the characters enter a new realm, entering a new dimension to see how the elites live. I believe the two pillars are in...
I like the way you say Solomon. How'd you say that? Solomon.
Solomon.
It sounds like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I was going to say Solomon. Yeah, Solomon.
Yeah.
My bad there.
No, I liked it. It sounded cool.
And there is an 8-pointed star of Ishtar. I believe it's in the intro party sequence, but I might be wrong. And we touched on, wasn't Ishtar? He was a character in the Epic of Gilgamesh.
He's a god.
Yeah, if my memory is correct, and he represents the Mesopotamian goddess of love, sex, and war, which makes a lot of sense in this movie.
Sense. What scene was that in?
I believe it's the intro scene. Once you get going, I'm gonna Google it just to verify. And one more thing that I kind of saw was the black and white checkered floor, the Moses pavement. It's a common Freemason symbol.
I didn't know it was called Moses pavement. That's cool.
That's at least the article that I read, which will be linked below. That's what they came to the conclusion of. And those were just 3 small things that I thought were interesting. Just some symbology in the movie.
That's cool. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I also saw something online too showing in the movie when they are in the masquerade party and they get to like this satanic ritual part.
Yeah.
The character Red Cloak sits down on this throne chair, and on the back behind him there's these double it looks like a double eagle head. I think it's eagle, but it's a double bird head, and that's tied into Freemasons and I think the Scottish Rite, but it's also tied to Rome. I did find a Mason website that's denying it has anything to do with them, naturally, but I think it's cool. It was an interesting little side note, I guess.
Fuck yeah, dude. And back on the 8-pointed star, I just Googled it to verify. If Red, you want to see that image, that was in the intro sequence when they're in the party.
Oh, that's cool.
There's an 8-pointed star behind them, and that resembles the Ishtar. And it's just the symbology in this movie is fucking crazy. And obviously, you could also be a disbeliever or just whatever and say, that it's just an 8-pointed star. What the fuck does it mean? But
yeah, and it just looks like a Christmas ornament, basically. But the thing is if you know anything about Kubrick, he was an expert on these things, and that he meticulously chose the way his sets were built on purpose and would reshoot scenes in different ways so that you can see certain things on purpose, and would cut his movies that way.
Yeah, we don't have... Yeah.
It's really... You can probably discount it for a lot of people, but with Kubrick, you can't really discount what he has in the background of his movies. The way his sets are built are on purpose.
The dude was deep.
Yeah. He would very meticulously research like how he wanted to do this. So, maybe it's coincidental, but
how many coincidences do we need in this movie? all I can say about Kubrick is the man was fucking calculated. And also,
he is a legend.
I was showing Red. We're not gonna pull the picture up, but if you want to, if you just look up "Eyes Wide Shut" 8-pointed star, the image. If you click on images, it'll pop right up.
Yeah.
If you would like to verify
I don't think
for
the
yourself,
phone will show it good.
no, but yeah, if you'd like to verify for yourself, it's there on Google.
Easily Googleable.
Yeah, we need to make that an actual word.
Googleable.
Googleable. Say that 10 times fast.
So, I'm going to get into my favorite conspiracy on it, which I linked. Excuse me, I linked where the website I got this from. It's talked about all over Reddit and other things, but there's one website. I don't know if he was the originator of it, but the person who wrote this website, I don't know if it's a man or woman, whoever wrote it, they did an amazing job. I linked them. I just got a couple paragraphs here just explaining the idea. But if you want to go full down the rabbit hole, it's linked on our references, and it goes scene for scene of what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah, that you were telling me before. That dude went hard.
Yeah, I titled this 33 Degrees of Eyes Wide Shut. As it turns out, Eyes Wide Shut has been structured in such a way for a very specific reason, which is critically intertextual in nature. At its heart, Eyes Wide Shut is a cipher with a key, and that key is the 33 degrees of the Scottish Rite. The basic outline of the Eyes Wide Shut cipher is that from the beginning of the film until the end, Bill Harford travels all 33 of the degrees of the Scottish Rite. This is why the narrative is broken up into a sequence of easily identifiable vignettes. It's a word I don't know. Sounds cool though. Eyes Wide Shut is essentially a 32-act structure ending at 33, where the educative associations of each degree are encountered in mostly chronological order and provide something of a through line or philosophical arc to the film. Every one of the film's individual scenes is associated with a separate degree. Whenever the next degree is presented, its arrival is marked by hidden symbolism and Masonic color schemes.
Yep.
And that's just a brief summary of it. But if you look into it, it's
not even just looking at it. Click on that article and watch that dude break it down. I haven't looked into it, but
if you want to do,
you were
there's
telling me.
a lot of reading to it. He gets most of the information from the Freemasons websites and the Scottish Rite websites, and I thought it was
fascinating,
super interesting, and really cool. Yeah, I definitely thought it was cool. I like the way he breaks it down.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. I have one last thing to add here. I got this off the Medium article. It's a Medium article, which will be linked below. And this is the reason why it's maybe called Eyes Wide Shut. The reason the film is called Eyes Wide Shut, at least according to some people, is a blatant reference to Hollywood and the number of people who allegedly know this kind of activity is taking place, yet do not say anything about it. And I think that ties into like the Epstein list, how you were talking before, how there was people who definitely knew shit was going on and just chose to not say anything. And you can infer or connect that to a bunch of things throughout the film and things that happen in real life.
Definitely.
And obviously that's just one person's or people's take on why the film is titled what it's titled, but I thought that was kind of a dope way to say it, how they put it on that article.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I like the title. It's a good title.
I guess unless there's anything else you would like to add right now, I got a question for you.
Okay, yeah.
They always rate movies out of 5 stars, Red. What are you going to rate this movie out of 5 stars?
I know what I'm going to rate. What are you going to rate it?
I would probably give it a 4 to 4.5.
I feel like you would, pussy. I rate it 5.
It was a fucking good film.
Come on, man. How do you not rate that a 5, dude? Who else?
Because of the ending. I didn't like the ending.
Oh, you didn't like the
ending? But I didn't hate it.
I like the way the ending didn't end how I thought it was going to.
I
didn't expect that.
But it's like...
I was like, whoa, and then it ended. I was like, oh.
You're really not...
Okay.
I thought maybe there was... Because when I was watching this movie, and especially when Tom Cruise, when Bill breaks down to Alice, there's like 15 minutes left in the movie, and I expected like something more big to happen at the end.
Right.
But the ending literally, it's literally, yo, do you want to fuck? That's literally the ending. So,
no,
but
we have to.
But I still did. I love the movie. I thought it was a good movie. But I didn't.
Maybe you got to be married to appreciate that ending. You're like,
come on, man. It wasn't perfect, but I thought it was a good movie.
I think it's perfect.
You know, you're entitled to your own opinion, man.
Dude, Kubrick is a legend.
He is a fucking legend.
I like the way he said it during Christmas time, and he used the lighting and different. I think the lighting is. I would love to see. I don't know why has this not been like 4K remastered?
They should remaster.
I want to see a 4K remastered version.
Yeah, and they should.
You know, one other thing too is Kubrick like had notes on wanting to change like some of the like audio scores, and they had to just kind of wing it and do what they thought he would have done. So we don't even know how he was going to change the sounds of it too, and the final cut. So like we got robbed there, but I would say it's probably at least 90-95% close to what he was going to release.
Also, one more thing, just to go back on the ratings. I know you're fucking around, calling me a pussy.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking around.
I feel like it for me, just bullshitting here. I don't like to throw out perfect scores when it comes to things. There's a few things I will, but even though I don't give it a perfect score, I think I'm gonna go with 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed the movie, and I think it is worth a watch.
Let's bump it up to out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. That's a little closer.
It's a 9. It's a 9 out of 10.
It's a 9?
It's a 9 out of 10. That's what I would give it. Come on, that's a fucking great score, man. 9 out of 10, that's a 9. That's an A- right there, boy.
What more would you want?
I did not like the ending. I didn't hate. I was left wanting more. And I feel like...
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good. But yeah, I know what you mean. But I think that's kind of the point of it.
And that's kind of something
that's the way life is.
We were chopping it up a little bit. You know, he ended it differently than a lot of movies. Like, really fucking... They're kind of back to square one at the end of the day. And Bill, Tom Cruise's character, is left with some mental baggage of the death of... I believe that lady's name is Mandy, who OD'd.
Oh, the prostitute.
Yeah.
Right.
And...
Yeah. I wonder what type of story would it be? Is it like the hero's journey, where he's left changed at the end?
Maybe. The only thing I know what you mean there, but I don't know if I would say Bill is a hero. You know?
Well, not in the classical sense, but
that's true.
In
a way,
he is the protagonist.
He's
for sure.
Definitely, he's the main character.
So. Of all the story types, I feel like the hero's journey is maybe the closest, but I'm not an expert on that for sure. Mm-hmm. But he definitely goes through I think maybe he definitely learned a lot about sexuality.
Oh, for sure, dude.
And a lot about women, and maybe...
I think he learned that he needs to give his wife some good dick.
He definitely He definitely learned that there is a level of society above everything that he can't fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
He learned that too, and I think nowadays we all kind of know that, but we want to fuck with them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, don't kill us. We're just kidding. We love the Illuminati.
And anyone...
That's why we got this here. We love no.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the Illuminati, by the way. We
just
think the pyramids are sweet and the third eye is dope.
Yeah, it is a fucking dope visual. And if you're watching this and if you've seen the film, I would love if you want to comment below. What would you give the movie out of 5 stars or out of 10? However you want to rate it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
let us know what y'all thought about the film, and if you have any other insights that you would like to put in the comments, we would love to read them and see your thoughts about it.
Right. We read the comments, even the weird ones.
Yeah.
Some of the comments we get, we're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And yeah, of all the conspiracies, I find that 33 degrees of Freemasonry the most interesting, and that's actually I don't know that he mentioned it. He probably mentions it on the site, but that's the Scottish Rite degrees.
Okay.
So the first 3 degrees are the Freemasons, called the Blue Lodge, and then after that, 4 through 33 are the Scottish Rite, which you can do 4 through 32. The 33rd degree is actually like an honorary degree. So like if you're in there and you're part of the group for like 20 years and you're an old gray-haired guy that's been there forever, they would honor you by granting you the 33rd.
You gotta have some time in that bitch to get 33.
Yeah, so just a little recap for you guys on how that works. But all the degrees are tied to these ceremonies, and they all have to do with like there's certain colors and symbology tied to each one.
And those are expressed throughout the film.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And he breaks it down on that website. I specifically chose not to go through every single one, but just to give you the idea, if that's all you want, is that as the scenes of the movie go through the degrees, the scenes line up with the colors of like the sets and the walls and the paintings and the shit behind
in order too, correct?
They line up in order. And then some of the symbology of like paintings or stuff that's around them, it totally lines up with them in order, which is I found amazing.
Call it a coincidence, so cool. But if you're gonna say 33 times, that's all. Man, get the fuck out of here. He knew something.
There's no way you can line it up in order like that.
33 fucking times, man.
It's cool.
Mm-hmm. I like.
I think it's really cool.
Oh, same here, man.
So yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got as well, man.
Hope you guys liked it. Drop the comments what you thought. Anything important we missed, and till next time. I'm Red.
This is Jake.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.